Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. Hey, listen. Okay, Colonel Carey made a video response to me, and I believe it's my first video response on my Colonel Richard Hunter channel. So, I felt the need to respond back. Colonel Carey is all kinds of awesome. If you don't know her, I might have a link to her underneath this. Subscribe to her. She is awesome. Listen, she made the response to me in regards to my video that had to do with student loans. And of course, I knew when I mentioned the word bailout, or the words bail and out in the same sentence together, that it would make some people really crazy. And not that Carrie's crazy; she's not crazy, but you know what I'm saying. I knew it would stoke the fires of of a lot of things. But I told you guys a long time ago, I do have a liberal streak in me. I am just not libtard. Okay, I don't have any libtardism in me. At least I don't think. Maybe this bailout scheme of mine, maybe that is contrary to that. But listen, let me touch on it for a minute. And I know that the words bailout it really gets people because we watched our tax money being spent to abort the Constitution. We watched our tax money being spent to bail out banksters, and I call them banksters, and I know that that's a word that I share with that union thug Ed Schultz. But it's, in a lot of ways it's true. As a Republican or as a conservative, I will not carry the water for the banks. I won't do it. I don't care how much money they've spent in lobbyists. Okay? Bottom line is the banks gave the taxpayers a raw deal. They really did. Most of you look at Jamie Dimon, recently in the news, completely foobars his company. In fact, I said a long time ago that Jamie Dimon should have been indicted, along with a lot of other guys. And there's not been one indictment that I can think of any of the big wigs, the big CEOs of these banks, the big CFOs. None of these people have been indicted. Okay, but our tax money went to bail them out. And now it looks like they're doing the same damn thing again. I've got a house across the street from me. True story. True. Everything I say is a true story. I've got a house across the street from me that's been bank owned for 4 years now. Well, about 3 years now. Okay, bank owned. And for the longest time, me or none of the other neighbors could figure out what the hell what they were going to do with the house. I mean, there was no signs up. There was nothing. It just sat literally vacant. And my neighborhood, I don't know what the medium house is, but it's very, well, let me put it this way. 20 years ago, maybe 22 years ago, I paid 50 grand for this house that I'm in. Okay, it's just a modest 3-bedroom ranch with a finished basement and a 2.5-car garage. The 2.5-car garage is what you see me make these videos at. This is my 2.5-car garage, also known as the Voodoo Gym. Okay, so and I got a good deal on it, and it was an estate deal where the kids were just trying to sell mom and dad's house, and it sat vacant for a little while. And so I don't know, I got a good deal on it. At that time. Now, I built this garage, but at that time, the houses around here were going for 60. So it was an estate deal. They were really looking to get rid of it. It needed a lot of work. It was older couple had passed away. Anyway, long story short, that was 20-some years ago. The bank finally across the street put a for sale sign up at the bank-owned house across the road from me, and one of my neighbors, my neighbor Greg, he called the realtor and asked how much the house was listed for. And the house was listed for $55,000. Okay, well, how long has it been now? I guess it's been up for 3 weeks. $55,000, and it is not sold. And it's got fairly updated house. I mean, all things considered, the guy that lived in it before had quite a bit of work done to it. I've never been in a basement, but I'm assuming it's a finished basement just like mine. It does have a 2.5-car garage already, whereas I had to build mine. But, in 20 years, all the equity in my house is gone. It's history. Now, I'm still ahead of the game because, been paying on a house for 20 years. But, all the equity's history. It's gone. So what's that tell you what's going on in the real estate market today? I don't care what they say about recovery. Anyway, I don't want to get too far off the beaten path. But it does look like we're in for another whammy. I really do feel that. Meanwhile, all these banksters that we built up before have been padding their pockets. I mean, you look at the multi-million-dollar bonuses that they've been giving themselves since our bailout. Okay, since our bailout. So, yeah, screw them and the horse they rode in on. And now, don't even get me started on the auto industry and the UAW's takeover of that via the the Obama administration. You know, we had bankruptcy laws in place. Chrysler had filed bankruptcy back in the 80s and came through it. You know, there's no reason in the world that General Motors and Chrysler couldn't have went through the same restructuring that Lee Iacocca took Chrysler in through back in the 80s. All right, but that was just a big takeover is what it was. It was a big takeover by the UAW. Look who owns most of the stock, and look how it's still being ran. And let me tell you something. You mark my words. They are freaking cooking the books at General Motors for the president. They are cooking the books. I mean, one minute they tell you that, you know, their Chevy Volt line only sold 4 cars in one quarter, and then they're going to suspend the Volt line because battery issues. You know, no shit. Okay. Well, but then they come around the next week and say how they had the greatest quarter they've ever had, and it was all blowing smoke up the Obama administration's ass. And well, this is the greatest. This is what a turnaround. How the hell do you have a whole product line tank? A whole product line tank, and then come out and claim that you've had the greatest quarter ever. Something ain't right. Something smells very, very dirty there. Something smells fishy. Something ain't right. So, anyway, listen, I'm no fan of bailouts. Okay, I am no fan of bailouts. But getting back to my point with the student loan bailout that I mentioned, this is where the liberalism comes in me. I have a hard time blaming the youth of America for being walked down the garden path by the liberal nonsense that had become the student loan program. Okay, you know, we don't hold people with MBAs and PhDs that work in the banking industry accountable. We bail them out and we bend over backwards for them because we don't want to have another Great Depression. Got to save the banking industry. Oh man, things are rough. But yet we will hold an 18-year-old completely responsible for being hoodwinked by the liberal education in this country. Listen, these kids have been indoctrinated from the time you dropped them off to kindergarten, unless you were smart enough to homeschool or send them to a parochial school. Listen, they're literally, the kids today are victims of basically the federal plan to indoctrinate them. You know, they're victims of public education is exactly what they are. So, and I know, now I use the word victim. So now I use bailouts and victims. Everybody's going to start on something going, this guy's just a flaming liberal. Now, listen, bottom line is this. When I said let's bail out, and I know, Carrie, it's $1 trillion. That's why I had the $1 trillion note up on that video. Okay? I know, I realize it's a lot of freaking money. It's crazy money. But, here's the big but. To me, it's a way to get this done. And what I meant by that is, listen, it's a one-time deal. I'm only cool with the bailout. I'm only cool with forgiving the loans if, and here's the huge if they completely dismantle the student loan program and forever ban it. No more student loans, period. You can have Pell Grants and things like that for, disabled or disadvantaged, whatever. But as far as a kid being able to show up and become $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in debt by the time they're 25 for a degree that's worthless. And I tried to illustrate what these universities and colleges were doing. Really milking these kids. The universities and colleges don't give a rat's ass how much debt these kids have. They don't. They don't give a rat's ass that their degrees are worthless. And literally, because of what they're doing, the college degrees are becoming yesterday's high school diplomas. You know, I mean, they're devaluing the worth of the piece of paper because everybody's got a college degree. Hey, along with all that debt, but I mean, so you go to get a job at a bar as a waitress, you got to have a 4-year degree in psych, whatever, Now, listen, Carrie, I understand what you're saying. You worked your way through it. And see, part of the problem is this, the way I see it. There are a lot of Americans just like you who worked their way through. Back when and I tried to make this point, back when you were college age, because I'm assuming you and I are probably fairly close to the same age. Maybe you may be a little bit younger than me, but for the most part, we come from that, that time frame. There was a time back then when you could work your way through. It wasn't easy. I never said it was easy, but you could work your way through school because tuition costs were not what they are today. tuition costs today are insane, and that is a direct result of the government's student loan program, because these colleges and universities basically seen the government tit being backed up to them, and then they just raised their prices and started sucking on the tit. And the victims here, the people who lost, were the people who took the student loans out, the young people, the indoctrinated from kindergarten people who thought this was just the greatest thing ever. They could take all these student loans and be able to get a college degree, and their lives would be good. You know, and in reality, their lives are shitty now because they got this mountain of debt over their heads. All right, sure, there should be some personal responsibility, but how do we hold 18-year-olds, and when I say 18-year-olds, because typically that's the age, 18, 19 is when people start going to college, and they're signing these student loans and all that stuff. How do we have to, you've got to be held responsible. You signed your name on this, blah, 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 blah. But yet we don't hold Jamie Dimon responsible, you know, or any of those clowns, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, any of those clowns. We don't hold them responsible. We let them suck on the government tit, use our taxpayer money, and then give each other $100 million bonuses. But yet the 18-year-old who got walked down that liberal garden path to stupidity, no, they've got to be held responsible. They were adults when they made that decision. Come on, seriously, people? You know, seriously? As taxpayers, hey, listen, as adults, maybe we should have looked at our government and said, hey, this is a liberal boondoggle here, this whole student loan program, and we should have seen over the last 2 decades how they were raising the tuition rates and building massive stadiums, junior colleges with stadiums as big as most pro teams. You know, we should have, as taxpayers, said, whoa. Now, I know some of us screamed, some of us did, some of us hollered, I know that. But as a whole, we didn't. As a collective, we didn't. You know? I don't know. And, and I know, listen, I know this. If you worked your way through college and you got this guy saying, hey, we should forgive all these people's student loans, I know that pisses you off. It should piss you off. But it's a one-time piss-off. And it's a one-time piss-off. And literally, it only works for me if they say we abolish the student loan program. Because let me tell you something. What happens if they abolish the student loan program, and I know that there are people that are on student loans right now that subscribe to this channel. You don't want to hear this, but here's the thing. Trust me on this. You abolish the student loan program, these universities and colleges will have to lower their tuition, and it will get to the point where people can work a part-time job and make their way through college. You know, or even work a full-time summer job and earn enough money to pay for college. Because that's the way it should be. What we have now is a liberal bastardization of education. That's what we have. We've got the Democrats who, like I said, that's why I named my video the liberal road to hell, because that's exactly what it is. It was a good idea that came from the liberal mindset of kumbaya and everybody should be able to go to college, and they've screwed the pooch. They literally have screwed the pooch. So listen, people, I'm not saying that I've got the answer, and I'm not even saying that I don't have my head up my ass on this one. Maybe I do. Okay, but what I am saying is something has to change. Something has to give. And the liberal in me, as small as it may be, has a real hard time holding young people responsible when I really do believe they were hoodooed, a little southern term, they were hoodooed by a liberal plan for education that was just ridiculously stupid. It was the road to hell, paved with liberal good intentions is what it was. I don't know. I know I'm not going to change any minds on this. I just wanted to kind of get that out there. I just really did. I just really felt like, maybe this would be a way where everybody could be happy, and because here's the thing. Ultimately, I'm going to leave you guys with this. The President of the United States right now, Barack Obama, and I know this because I know young people with student loan debt, lots of it, and they're worried, they're scared, they can't pay it back. And he's giving them the big stroke about how he's going to hook them up. Okay, and he ain't hooking them up. He ain't hooking them up at all. But yet he's making himself out to be the good guy. And what happens is, you've got a situation now where the Democrats are going to try to take the high road for votes and go, well, we're going to help you out with those student loans now. And in reality, they're not helping them out for shit. All they're doing is prolonging the inevitable, prolonging the misery. Whereas I think the Republicans could get ahead of this and say, hey, look, you know what? Obama's telling you, screw that. Look, we're gonna wipe out your student loan debt. Now, you won't be able to take any more student loans. No, that's a fact. But you know what? We're going to wipe out your student loan debt. Or maybe in the comment section, if you got a better plan than that, I don't know. I think it's a one-time hit. I know it's a freaking lot of money, but if we could do it for the banks and the auto industry, I think we could do it for the young people in this country. And for those of you who worked to pay down your student loans, and for those of you who worked to actually pay off your student loans, good for you. You know, that's awesome. You should be applauded for that. But, you know, just because you did that, don't take the stance of, well, I had to, you know, well, screw that, you know, come on. You know, come on. You know, it's my tax money too. You know, it's my tax money too. So I don't know. That's what I got for you. I know a lot of you guys aren't buying what I'm trying to sell here, but it is what it is. But if nothing else, it's been a really great discussion. And Carrie, thank you very much. You were you're as awesome as awesome gets. Everybody take care. See ya.